everybody, and welcome back to Mark Clemens Postcards. I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving, and I hope if you sell on eBay, you had a good week on eBay as well. We're here to take a look at what I sold over the past week on eBay, so let's get to it. Sales for the week from the November 24th through the 30th were $701.44. That consisted of 56 items, and my average sale price was up to $12.53. That's a little bit, the sales price is up a little bit from last week, and the amount of items I think is down a little bit, but all in all, it's about a typical week for me. And let's look at what made up those numbers. First off, we have a buyer who purchased 2 items. The first is a view of the Lake Breeze Motel in Deep Creek, Maryland, which is near Oakland, Maryland. You can see that here. And the second is the same motel, different view. Again, Lake Breeze Motel, Deep Creek, Maryland. So a purchase of 2 cards, both Chrome Era cards, at $4.95 each for a total of $9.90. Another buyer who purchased 2 items. The first item is a cartoon. This is a Jimmy Hatlow comic, and you can see it is a postcard back. But a Jimmy Hatlow comic, I remember when I was younger that comic used to appear in the Sunday papers, maybe even the daily papers through the week as well. That one sold for $4.95. And the second card was an artist signed card. This is a Carmichael, again, a comic type card of a woman playing hard to get, and a man is pleading for her attention. And it just says bluffing up here, so she's bluffing. This is I believe a white border era card here. And that also sold for $4.95, so another sale of 2 cards for a total of $9.90. Here's a view in Cuba. I don't sell a lot of international postcards, but some. This is a view of Galeano Street in Havana, Cuba. And you can see this is a divided back era card. And there are some horse-drawn vehicles there on the street. That sold for $5.95. Here is a sailing ship. This is the Mayflower. This was a ship that competed in the America's Cup race. I had a series of several of these with different sailing ships on them. I think this might be the last one I have left. This one says 1886, not what the date of the card, but when that ship competed, I guess. And because it's a white border era card. And on the back you can see some information about that particular ship. That was a race in 1886. That was the 7th race for America's Cup. And you can see this is also a little bit of an advertising card down here at the bottom. It says America's Cup defenders were varnished with Smith's spar varnish. So it is a ship and a sport and an advertising card all in one. That one sold for $9.95. Here we have a lot of cards. As you might, if you watch me regularly, you know I regularly sell lots of cards. This is a lot of 500 random mix of U.S., states, towns, topics. Could even be some greetings thrown in. It's just a big general assortment of cards. And this lot sold for $119.95. with free shipping. And again, 500 lot card, all mixtures, a big assortment of various things. Next up, we have a ship. This is a military ship. This is the USS Connecticut. And I would presume this is to be a ship in the Great White Fleet that has the white hull here, as you can see. It's a divided back era card posted in 1907. And that one sold for $7.95. Here is an interesting real photo. This one required a little bit of sleuthing to determine exactly what we're looking at here. You can see a group of men seated around the table, and they all have similar hats on. On the back, we see it was posted from Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania to Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And if we take a closer look at these guys, you can see they have hats on with an S in the middle and then a 1 and a 6 to either side, so 16. So I presumed them to be students, either in a high school or a college class. They look to me more like college-age students. And I know that in Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania is Susquehanna University, so I presume these to be college students who were set to graduate from Susquehanna University in 1916. The date that the card was posted was 1913, so they would be what, freshmen, probably freshmen or sophomores in college at that point, and they're just sitting around a table sporting their hats. I listed that card for $11.95, and it received one bid and sold for $11.95. Here's an artist sign card. This is a cute little girl with a basket of chicks, and it looks like a lamb walking beside her there. This is signed artist down here, Bonnie, and this is, I presume, to be a white border card. You can see it was printed in Belgium. It's an Alfred Mainzer publisher, who Alfred Mainzer also prints dress cat type cards. And I don't know, just the style of the artist reminds me of Hummel figurines, but I don't think it's related to that at all. But anyway, this card sold for $5.95. Here we have another military ship. This is the USS West Virginia, not a member of the Great White Fleet, I would guess, as the hull is not painted white. At least that doesn't appear white in this view. It is a divided back card. It is unused, and it sold for $5.95. Here is another real photo card. Not identified on the front. It's just someone wrote in handwriting, know you this house. So I guess whoever they sent it to, they should have known where this house was. On the back, we see it's posted from Addison, Pennsylvania to Charlottesville, Virginia. And so I took it to assume that the sender lived in this house. So that would place it in Addison, Pennsylvania. And I listed it at an auction for $9.95, and it did receive one bid for $9.95 from a buyer who typically buys things in Addison or near Addison. So I guess I assume myself to be correct in my guess of where that card was from. Next up, we have a view in Brookfield, Pennsylvania. This is Main Street. And you can see a horse-drawn wagon over here. Looking at the back, it's a divided back card, and it was posted in 1907. This card was listed at $7.95. I took an offer of $7 on that. Next up, another lot of cards. This is a vintage lot of 100 holidays, greetings, just an assortment of greeting type cards. You can see a Valentine. There's a Thanksgiving card, a Remember Me. There's a Happy Birthday, an Easter greeting, another birthday card, and so on. Easter, New Year's, Valentine, romance, Happy New Year. So a lot of 100 cards of that nature, and that sold for $21.95 for 100. Then we have an airplane. This is a Learjet Model 24 business aircraft, a Chrome Era card, and it is unposted, as you can see. That one sold for $7.95. Here is a kind of a generic greeting. It says, "Greetings from Orange, Virginia." It is not a town view, but more of just a greeting type card with some flowers and an open book on there. A divided back era card posted in 1909. You can see is also embossed. You can see the design from the front on the back here. And that one sold for $7.95. Here is not a postcard, but a Victorian era trade card. Here we see a couple women ice skating with a small child. I assume that to be a small child. Looks almost like a baby doll, but that would be strange to go ice skating with a baby doll. But we do have strange things in this world. But anyway, this is from the Household Sewing Machine Company in Providence, Rhode Island. You can see it is blank. Well, no, it's not blank. There's a very faint stamp on there, no doubt from one of their distributors. I can't read exactly where that is. But this trade card was originally listed for $4.95, and I took an offer of $4. Here's a real photo view in Beach, North Dakota. This is Blanche Street. And you can see an old auto there. Looking at the back, it is posted in 1948, so that seems appropriate with the type of vehicle we see there. We also see some stores. This is the Farmers Merchants Bank here to the left, and there's a J.C. Penney store over here to the right. And this card has a heavy horizontal crease, kind of right in the middle, runs the length of the card. I originally listed this for $29.95, and I had a buyer who several times sent me an offer, but the offer was considerably lower than what I wanted for the card. But this last time that I received an offer of $15, I accepted it, and I took into consideration the condition of the card. It does have some corner and edge wear in addition to that big heavy crease. So I think maybe I was expecting a little too much out of this for the condition of the card. So I accepted the offer of $15. Next up is a view in Crawfordsville, Indiana. This is the Supreme Tribe of Ben-Hur building. A divided back card posted in 1911. And I did look to see what that meant, Supreme Tribe of Ben-Hur. It was some type of a fraternal organization. And that's all I really know about it. And that card sold for $5.95. Here is a view in Trenton, New Jersey. This is the Calhoun Street Bridge right here on the Lincoln Highway. You see an old antique auto there parked in the front, and some vehicles crossing the bridge. That is a white border era card. It is postally unused, and that one sold for $9.95. Here's another lot of cards, a little smaller than the previous one. This is 100 cards. Again, a random mix of U.S. states, towns, topics, greetings, etc. Could be almost anything in there. And This one sold for $19.95. Here's a sale where buyer bought 2 items. First item was, I wish that enlarged a little bit bigger so you could see that better. This is a view in Ocean City, New Jersey. This is the Boardwalk by Moonlight. It's a Lennon era card posted in 1948. And the second card is a view of New York City skyline. We see the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan skyline and the World Trade Center towers here, just under the bridge. That is a Continental era card there, but both the first card, New Jersey, sold for $5.95. The second for $4.95 for a total of $10.90. There's another lot of 100 random mix of cards, and again, that one sold for $19.95. Now, you might say, Mark, you sell so many lots of cards. Aren't you worried that you're going to run out of cards? Well, no, and this is why. If you notice, over my right shoulder here behind me is a rack with a bunch of boxes on it, and this is what is on it. This rack at the current time holds over 50 boxes of postcards, full boxes of postcards, and so I have quite a bit of stock to pull from as far as putting together these lots. Plus, I continue to buy constantly, so I'm not too worried about running out of postcards. Next up, we have a view in Everett, Pennsylvania. It says high water near the Earlston store, March 19th of 1908. And so you do see a lot of water in that view. And as you see, divided back card, as I said, posted 1908. I had this card originally listed for $24.95. I took an offer of $20 on that one. Here is a view you might remember from my video just the other day when I was showing you some albums that I purchased. And we went through all the cards in the first album. This was the first card in that first album. This is a view of the main waiting room in Union Station in Kansas City, Missouri. A nice white border era card. It's unused, as you can see on the back. Also, it's a Fred Harvey, published by Fred Harvey, which is a collectible thing for a lot of collectors. A pretty nice condition. That one sold for $5.95. Here is, yes, you guessed it, another lot of cards. This is 100 assorted holidays, greetings, etc. We have here birthday wishes, Easter, I guess sort of a Valentine or romance card there, hands across the sea. Romance, couple lovers in a tree. Here's a best wishes for Christmas. There's a Thanksgiving card. Another Thanksgiving, New Year's, Christmas and New Year's, Christmas greetings, New Year 1908, Valentine thoughts. So again, a nice mixture of holiday cards. This was started as an auction at $21.95 and received one bid for that amount. And same buyer, another lot again of assorted 100 assorted holidays greetings. There we have best wishes, New Year's 1910, birthdays, best wishes, thoughts and wishes, and so on. Greetings for Christmas. Another lot of 100 to the same buyer as the previous lot, again for one bid of $21.95. Here's a real photo view, and this one is a busy scene here, farm type scene. Here you can see barn, and there's some people outside doing various things. That fellow there doesn't seem to be doing much, just sitting. But other people are busy with things. There's a guy with a couple horses. There's some chickens in the middle of the road. Somebody's coming up the lane in a wagon or leaving. Another fella over here to the right. So a pretty busy farm scene. On the back, it is unused, and all it said in somebody's handwriting up here was New Alexandria. New Alexandria is a town very close to me here in western Pennsylvania. So I assumed it to be that, and I listed it as such under New Alexandria, PA. It just said busy farm scene, and I was hoping that somebody who collected New Alexandria might recognize or know something about it. It was started at auction for $14.95, and you can see here it got 4 bids, and all from the same bidder. So whoever this person, their buyer name is New Alex, so that's sort of a clue that they collect New Alexandria cards, and obviously they were very interested in this card and made an initial bid and then backed it up 3 more times just to be sure that they got the card. And fortunately for them, they did get the card without any challengers, so they got it at the original listing price of $14.95. Here is a view in Troy, New York. This is the Cluett, Peabody & Company Collar Factory. This is an undivided back view. You can see it's mostly unused. Got some trolleys out in the street. And so I guess back in the days when collars were a thing, they needed a factory to make them, and there it was. That one sold for $5.95. Next up, we have a Marilyn Monroe card. This came from my purchase a couple months back of a large box full of Marilyn Monroe postcards. You might remember seeing that. I did a video about that. This is an advertisement that Marilyn did for Chanel perfume. If we look on the back, this is a continental size card, so it's newer, probably, I would guess, maybe 1990s. And it just says Monroe, Marilyn, Chanel. So not much else to go by, but obviously that was used in an advertisement. And that card sold for $5.95. What up next? We have a motel. This is the Briny Breeze Motel and Apartments in Key Largo, Florida. It is a multi-view card. You can see here's a view of the motel with some cars outside. Here is a view looking out towards the water. I guess if you were to go outside the motel, you would have this view. There's some people seated here and enjoying the weather. This is a Chrome era card. It is mostly unused. Let's see, down here it says copyright 1957. So that gives you an idea of the date of this view, and that sold for $4.95. Here's an advertising card of sorts. This is the card for the Edison phonograph. It is a divided back card. It was posted in 1913. Here on the front we can see some people enjoying the sounds that are coming out of the phonograph, whatever they might be. And at the time, that was an incredible invention, and these people are enjoying it. That card was listed for $5.95. I took an offer of $5 on that. All right, next we have a military aircraft. This is a Lockheed T-33A Shooting Star jet trainer. Belongs to the U.S. Air Force. It is a chrome card. Here you can see on the back lots of information about the plane itself. It had a top speed of 525 miles an hour and a range of 1,000 miles. Again, a chrome, unused, nice military card, sold for $5.95. Next up, we have a hotel, the Hotel Adams in Phoenix, Arizona. And you can see the hotel there with some antique cars out in the street. A divided back card. It is unused. And it sold for $5.95. Next up is a view at the interchange of the Northern Indiana East-West Toll Road, the Angola interchange. So that's Angola, Indiana. And here you see a sign that says stop ahead and get your ticket before you get on the toll road. Reminds me a lot of the Pennsylvania Turnpike, which I have featured some views of here on this channel. A chrome era card. It is unused. And it sold for $4.95. And our last card for this week. And keep in mind, I haven't showed you every single card that sold. There were too many. I'm not going to bore you out of your mind by showing you every single one. I tried to make an assortment, an interesting assortment, some of the better sales and some of them more interesting sales, and a variety. This is the Majestic Hotel in Lake Charles, Louisiana. You can see from the back it is unused. It is a linen era card, and it sold for $5.95. So that is it as far as the sales for this week go. And now we're going to move on to our special topic for the week. We have been taking a trip along the Lincoln Highway, and today we have arrived at one of the famous stops or famous points on the Lincoln Highway, the Ship Hotel, and we're going to take a little bit more of an in-depth look at that.
Hello, I'm Herbert Paulson, an immigrant to the USA from the Netherlands. I was an entrepreneur who had a dream for a roadside attraction that would become a landmark along the Lincoln Highway. My creation would attract visitors from around the world and fascinate travelers for decades.
Indeed it did, and I might add it still fascinates people to this day. Before we get started here looking at some postcards of this famous landmark, I'd like to recommend this book, again by Brian Butko. It's The Ship Hotel, a grand view along the Lincoln Highway, and it explains in much greater detail than I can tell you about the man who created this amazing roadside attraction, and just the start to finish, from the early stages up to the finished product and everything in between. So if you're interested in this topic and you want to know a lot more about it, this is a good book to read. So when last we were traveling on the Lincoln Highway, we had reached the Bald Knob summit and were about to drop down the other side of the mountain. As we start down, we would notice off to our left a little roadside stand, and it was called the Grandview Park. This would have been sometime in the mid-20s. This little roadside stop was owned and operated by a Mr. Herbert Paulson, who was an immigrant from the Netherlands. He would have liked to have built his stand about 300 yards further down the road, where there was a curve in the road which gave a spectacular view for quite some distance. But at that present time, that property was owned by someone else, and there was another small refreshment stand there. This is a view of the bend in the road that offered such a spectacular view, and this is just a little glimpse at that view. Motorists along the Lincoln Highway would frequently stop and pull over here and get out of their cars just to take in the scenery. Now take notice in the next two postcard views of something I find very interesting. In this first view, like several of the others before, you can see the view with the stone wall there, and really nothing else of note there but the view itself. Then in the next card, the next view, we see essentially the same thing, but a few things have been added. There's now a telephone pole in the towards the center of the view, but more importantly, in the far left you see a little stand or little shanty at the very far left, which was a refreshment stand. Looking at the first view again, we see a couple automobiles and some people standing at the wall taking in the view. And in the next card or the next scene, the same automobiles are there and the same people are there, but the telephone pole and the refreshment stand have been added. I don't know which view came first, if the refreshment stand was blotted out of the view or if it was later added into the view. Here's a view looking down at the refreshment stand from the hillside across the road. And then a little better view of the refreshment stand itself. In 1927, Mr. Paulson purchased the piece of property that included the curve in the road and the view and the little refreshment stand, and began to make some changes. Here in this picture you can see that he has added some little castle-like pillars to the entrance to the refreshment stand. Here's another view of that from a little different angle. Here's another one, just taking in the view from the upper portion of the wall. Here's a more straight-ahead view of the refreshment stand and the castle-like pillars. In 1928, Mr. Paulson took his castle theme a little further and built a brand new building with a castle theme. Here's a more close-up view of that new building and a view from the front. And here in this view, we can see he has expanded the building and then also added some awnings that wrap around the building. Here are a few color views of that same building from different angles. In this one, you get a more close-up view. You can see some of the signage also around the front of the building, and you get a real sense of how steep the hillside was where this building was constructed. In this view, you'll notice that a new outdoor deck has been added to the right of the building, just below eye level of the stone wall. And lastly for today, this is a view of that deck from on the deck itself. Well, that's all for today because this video is getting a little bit long. But as I was looking through my cards and things for the Ship Hotel, I realized just how much there is to talk about, how much I could show you in regard to this unique landmark. And so I'm going to extend this on to another video, or maybe even two. I don't know, whatever it takes to fit in what I think I need to fit in. So come back next time or next week and I will continue this look at the Ship Hotel. And you saw the early stages of what would become the Ship Hotel today, but we'll get a look at the actual ship itself. And I also have some very interesting knickknacks and memorabilia from there that you might want to see. So if you like this video, please give me a like. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do that. And as always, I thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.